Welcome to the deep dive. We've got sources today detailing what looks like a really explosive modern conflict. But when you dig in, it runs much, much deeper. We're talking about a geopolitical grudge match that kicked off, believe it or not, over uranium and one single pretty catastrophic decision nearly 70 years ago.
That's absolutely right. What we're tracking here is essentially a modern war fought by proxy.
Yeah.
You've got this bombing in Latvia that seems isolated, maybe, then a very calculated, brutal assassination in Austria, and a huge diplomatic incident blowing up in Moscow.
And the thread connecting all of them.
It seemed to be the personal vendetta of one man, Russian Lieutenant General Grigory Petrov.
Okay, so our mission today is to really unpack how this decades-old rivalry is shaping the tactics right now. We're going to trace the pretty extreme countermeasures being taken by people like Mitch Rapp, Irene Kennedy, Stan Hurley, all trying to shut down Petrov's operations before this private war goes global.
Exactly. And to really get it, you have to start at the beginning. You have to go way back.
Right, back to the foundation.
We need to talk about Thomas Stansfield, the man who eventually becomes CIA acting director. His defining moment wasn't in some Langley office. It was right at the end of World War II. Desperate days.
Yeah, and what's key is how fast Stansfield changed. He wasn't initially like a military guy. He was recruited into the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services. There was this trim, bespectacled man who pushed him to study French and German, setting him up for intel work.
And his early missions were pure espionage tradecraft. Scouting D-Day landing zones, working with the French resistance, coordinating airdrops, that kind of thing.
But then the war ends and everything shifts. It becomes a race for Nazi assets, specifically German uranium oxide.
The key ingredient for a bomb. And the sources paint this picture of a frantic race against time. A Soviet convoy is closing in on this incredibly rare weapon-grade material.
And Stansfield, he's cut off. He's got just a small amount of RDX explosives, enough for one target, basically.
Right. So he has to make this choice. A choice that, honestly, you could argue shapes the next 50, 60 years of U.S.-Russian relations.
He picks the bridge, doesn't he? The one closest to the Soviet convoy.
He does.
Yeah.
And the calculation he's making is just horrific. If the Soviets get that uranium, they achieve nuclear parity almost overnight. It accelerates the Cold War dramatically. For Stansfield, it was, I think the source called it a no-fail operation.
No-fail meaning?
Meaning failure wasn't an option.
Yeah.
The decision was brutal. He blows the bridge right when the Soviet convoy is crossing it.
Ensuring. Yeah, the sources say no Soviet survivors. This wasn't just stopping them. It was elimination.
Total elimination.
Oh.
And the justification was preventing nuclear proliferation. But that act, that level of ruthlessness, you could argue it set a precedent.
A precedent for the kind of extreme tactics Petrov is using today.
Precisely. It makes Petrov's current actions feel rooted in something, historically deep, a real grievance, maybe, not just politics.
Okay, so that's the deep history, the context. Now let's jump forward to today. Because we see those same kinds of extreme, sort of off-the-books tactics playing out right now.
Yeah, the first big flashpoint is in Latvia, Daugavpils. It's a classic false flag operation, deadly, and designed specifically to give Russia a reason to intervene or even invade.
And our guys on the ground, including Joe's team member, David, he speaks multiple languages, right?
Yeah.
That was important.
Critically important, because David immediately picked up on two different Russian dialects being spoken by the guys starting trouble in this bar. A bar known for ethnic Russians.
Different dialects meaning?
Meaning they weren't locals. They were brought in. These weren't Latvian nationalists attacking Russians. This was an orchestrated event meant to look like locals targeting Russians. The perfect pretext for Russia to send in peacekeepers.
And the bomb itself, it wasn't subtle.
Not at all. 5 sticks of dynamite packed with these wicked-looking roofer's nails and some kind of ominous liquid in a bottle. Clearly designed for maximum casualties, maximum terror, but made to look almost amateurish.
Almost. But then they slipped up.
Yeah, classic operational sloppiness, really.
Right.
One of their guys gets badly hurt in the chaos.
Yeah.
And instead of taking him to the nearest hospital, which was like 25 miles away.
They drive him straight to a former Soviet air base, Lasiki.
Exactly. That confirmed the direct military link. Blew the whole false flag wide open, operationally speaking.
Okay, so while that's unfolding in Latvia, the Russians are dialing things up even more back in Moscow. They break one of the biggest unwritten rules of the espionage game.
They detain and interrogate Chris Henrik. And she's not just anyone. She's the wife of a CIA officer stationed there.
Which violates the Moscow rules.
Absolutely. It's a massive red line.
Yeah.
For decades, there's been this sort of unspoken agreement. You watch, you follow, you gather intel, but you don't touch the families. You don't physically interfere with non-official cover personnel or their spouses, targeting Chris Henrik. That signals Petrov is playing by totally different rules, or no rules at all. Total war footing.
And it wasn't just grabbing her, it was a setup, a whole production, really.
Oh yeah, overseen by Petrov himself, according to the sources. They manufactured evidence using something called spy dust.
Spy dust? Sounds like something from an old movie.
It kind of does, but it's real. It's this invisible powder. Fluoresces under a specific UV light. They put it on her hands.
And then they find evidence.
Exactly. The classic prop. Microfilm hidden inside one of those Russian nesting dolls. A matryoshka doll.
So they weren't actually trying to get intel from her?
No, not really. They were creating a narrative. Fabricating undeniable proof to frame her as an illegal spy. The goal was probably to force the CIA to divert all its resources to getting her back, taking the heat off the Latvia operation.
So I've got this big geopolitical mess brewing, false flags, broken rules, and then things get intensely personal for Mitch Rapp. He's in Barcelona, and he picks up on surveillance.
Well, with Rapp, it's usually the threat finding him. His tradecraft is just off the charts. The sources talk about him seeing a skateboarder fall, and he instantly analyzes the trajectory, the likely point of interception.
Using his lacrosse background, that's incredibly specific.
Yeah, like from his Syracuse days. It shows his mind works predictively. He knows where things are going to be. He anticipates the threat's movement.
But the surveillance team pushes him.
They do. And Rapp's escape is, it's pure Rapp. He steals a baggage tractor, drives it across active runway 060, left 060, right. Just sheer audacity to evade airport police.
That's not just escaping. That's sending a message back, right? Like, I see you, try me.
Definitely a warning shot. But the real measure of Petrov's personal hatred comes right after that. The attack in Austria.
Greta's grandparents, Karl and Elsa Ohlmeyer.
It's horrific. Tied down, tortured. This isn't clean intelligence work. This is pure, brutal vengeance.
And the sources describe the scene. It's visceral. The final chilling detail is the word carved into Karl Ohlmeyer's chest. Veritor.
German for traitor. And that word veritor is the key. It's a signpost pointing decades back.
Back to Stan Hurley.
Directly back to Hurley. Karl Ohlmeyer was a crucial part of the Boys from Berlin. This was an espionage network Hurley set up to run ops against the East German Stasi and the KGB back in the day.
And Petrov was on the other side of that fight.
Deeply involved. But it wasn't just about ideology. It was also about money. Cold, hard cash.
Right. There was an asset, Felix Hughes. He worked for Petrov, then defected.
And when Hughes defected, Ohlmeyer managed to secure the $5 million U.S. account Hughes had been controlling for Petrov. Losing the asset was bad enough, but losing the $5 million. That financial sting combined with the operational humiliation, it gave Petrov this burning desire for retribution.
And now, decades later, he's using stolen funds to fuel that retribution, funding the Latvian op, the Ohlmeyer murders.
Seems that way, which forces a major shift. The threat is now undeniable, it's personal, and there's an international crisis bubbling. The CIA has to switch from defense to offense, hard offense.
And Rapp leads the charge. His counterstrikes are immediate, and they are brutal. First, the Vimpel team in Bizert.
Yeah, the Vimpel team. They're basically Russia's elite Spetsnaz unit for direct action, sabotage, assassinations. Extremely dangerous. Rapp taking out an entire Vimpel team in Bizert, Tunisia. That's a huge statement.
What was he doing there?
Retrieval.
Yeah.
He was pulling out Dmitry Volkov, an old KGB asset Hurley had recruited years ago. Volkov likely had intel on Petrov. So Rapp was simultaneously gathering intel and just systematically taking Petrov's pieces off the board.
And then he goes straight for the jugular. Moscow. FSK headquarters, the Lubyanka itself.
Infiltrates it using a legend, posing as a Hezbollah financier.
Why that cover?
It gave him access not just to the FSK's operational side, but crucially into the illicit financial networks that Petrov was using. His targets inside were very specific.
First, the assassin, Ilya Lebedev, the one who killed the Ohlmeyers.
Identified by his asymmetrical eyes, according to the source. Rapp eliminates him quickly. But he doesn't stop there. That's the key.
He goes after the money man.
Felix Schmidt, the German banker controlling Petrov's dirty money network. And this is a strategically vital move. Killing Lebedev might have felt like justice, major revenge. Killing Schmidt was about crippling Petrov's entire operation.
Okay, hold on. Rapp's an assassin. We know that. But taking out a German banker, a non-combatant, on foreign soil, was this officially sanctioned? Or is Rapp going rogue here, using the bigger crisis to settle his own scores?
Well, the sources suggest the broader mission stopping Petrov, preventing the wider conflict, was sanctioned. And the assessment was that the only way to shut Petrov down quickly, decisively, was to cut off the funding. So executing Schmidt became, let's call it a tactical imperative, wrapped inside Rapp's personal drive.
And while Rapp is doing this, Irene Kennedy is making moves on the diplomatic front. She gets Chris Henrik released.
Masterfully done. She engineers the expulsion of the Russian deputy chief of mission and his wife from the U.S., but she does it quietly, using a simple visa issue as the pretext.
So it's non-escalatory, gives the Russians an out.
Exactly. They save face, but Kennedy gets what she needs. Chris is on a plane home, safe. It's forceful, it's fast, but it avoids a full-blown diplomatic meltdown.
And Stansfield backs her play. Firing the Moscow chief of station sends a message, too.
Yeah, it signals a shift. The old ways weren't working. Stansfield supporting Kennedy's more aggressive posture shows the CIA is done playing defense against Petrov.
So it all comes down to Rapp's final confrontation, right? With Colonel Zekin, who accuses him of starting a war.
And Rapp's reply is chillingly clear. Wrong. I just prevented one. He lays it out. By taking out Petrov's key operators, and especially by killing Schmidt and severing the financial lifeline, he's ensured Petrov's remaining teams are broke. The operation is dead in the water.
So the big takeaway from this dive, it really seems to be that these huge modern crises, they often aren't actually new. They're the end game, the bitter fallout from choices made decades ago. Stansfield at that bridge, Hurley and Petrov in Berlin.
Absolutely. The echoes are undeniable. And the sources really highlight a shift, maybe, in modern intelligence strategy. When you're facing a rogue actor like Petrov, someone operating outside the normal state structure, sometimes the most effective weapon isn't military, it's financial.
Cutting the lifeline, taking out the banker, Schmidt, was more decisive than going head-to-head with Petrov himself, potentially.
It seems that way in this case. It stopped the immediate escalation.
Which leaves us with a really tough question for you, the listener, to chew on. When an operative like Rapp basically goes off script, eliminates a personal enemy like Lebedev, but also takes out the financial linchpin Schmidt, knowing it will cripple a major hostile operation, is he just a rogue killer settling scores? Or is he actually the only one willing to do what's necessary, however brutal, to stop a much bigger political war from breaking out?
It's a difficult line to walk.
We'll leave you to ponder that. Thanks for diving deep with us today.